2 years ago, right here in Bogota, I introduced a lifestyle concept I called the Trifecta. It was a new way to live as a nomad capitalist. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what the Trifecta is and how you can use it to your advantage. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson. If you'd like for the Nomad Capitalist team to help you create your own holistic offshore plan, you can learn more about how we do that at nomadcapitalist.com. But let's talk today about the Trifecta. This is a lifestyle that I created after years of traveling around the world and looking at what people often talk about as the digital nomad. I did that, and I think the confusion that I initially had, 10 plus years ago, and that a lot of people have today, is that nomad means you got to be constantly going all around the world. When I started Nomad Capitalist as a website about 7 years ago, I did so to document my journey because I wanted to live that lifestyle. I was going and spending a month and sometimes much less in different countries all around the world because I wanted to build my network. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to meet the CEOs of banks in Vietnam and meet property developers in the Philippines and meet lawyers in Lithuania. And that's what helped me build the network. That was something that I think was unique to me. Now, if you want to travel all around the world and drag a suitcase behind you, that's cool. What I found is that as our business has grown, and now we work with 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, most people either just want to be steady in one place or they want a couple of home bases. And so that's why I come up with the idea of the Trifecta. Now, this is both a lifestyle planning tool as well as possibly a tax planning tool. When I first started this, here's the little known secret. When I first started being interested in living this lifestyle back in the 2000s, 2008 or so, my idea was not how do I pay less in tax? That was kind of a happy byproduct that I just kind of beat the drum for over and over. But my goal was I wanted to live in different places. And I'm a guy where even if I really like a place, after a while I get a little sick of it, and I like to have different places to go. And so the idea is that you take your 12 months of the year and you carve them up generally relatively equally. Now, I talked in another video recently about the modified Trifecta where you could do 5 months, 5 months, 2 months. But really the original idea of the Trifecta was you have 3 homes that are interesting to you that you want to spend time in around the world. And you could do 4, 4, 4 or a very close variation thereof. And the idea that I initially said was, for me, while I have long been a Europe and Asia person, I came back to the Americas to do a big research swing a couple years ago, and there are some great opportunities here as well. So you've kind of got 3 main continents. For some people who are from Africa, maybe Africa is one of them, or maybe there's somewhere in Oceania you want to hang out in Vanuatu, something like that. For some folks, Canada, US wants to be in the mix. Obviously, the more developed the country, the more tax planning that's needed. But the idea for me, from a lifestyle perspective, was I love Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I love different places in Europe. I've kind of bounced around as to what the place is in Europe, and that's why I came up with the modified Trifecta, where I've kind of taken that European 4 months and carved it up into a few smaller places. But it's Asia, it's Europe, and then Mexico City, Bogota. Some people like Buenos Aires. Some people like Brazil. Some people like surfing on the coast of Nicaragua, for example. It can be whatever you want. I'm more of a city person. I like to be based in cities and then be able to go into rural areas, go into more touristy areas for a weekend kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be that way. You could live in San Juan del Sur, Nicaragua. You could live in the beach in Costa Rica. There's no restrictions on what these are. But the idea was you get a taste of 3 different places. And so, again, as much as I love Asia, after a while it's like, all right, I'd like a little bit something else. And so what we've now talked about since we introduced the Trifecta was the idea of being able to buy homes in those countries. And so especially if you're looking at countries that aren't as expensive, here in Bogota, for example, you can get a really nice apartment for $150,000. Kuala Lumpur, lots of inventory. You can get a nice apartment for $250,000 if you go to, which is the minimum in that country by law. If you go to Thailand, you can find places for less. And so the idea is you want to absorb different places around the world, but you don't want to be dragging a suitcase. You want to have the homes. Now, you could rent 3 different homes, that's okay. You could buy one and rent the other 2 and slowly accumulate. I remember I had a friend, Sarah, a couple years ago, who I said, I'm thinking of leaving Kuala Lumpur for a while. Maybe I'll just keep my apartment. It's a great deal, because I was renting at the time, getting a feel for things. And she said, no, because then you'll always feel unnecessarily compelled to return. She's like, don't. I know you. She said, you'll feel like I'm paying the money, I must go more frequently. And so that's where the idea of owning the real estate comes in. If you can own real estate that's appreciating, and you can keep that for your trifecta, the fact that you own it, maybe there's some nominal maintenance fees or some nominal property taxes. Most of the markets that I'm in, those costs are very low. And the point is, by buying the places in your trifecta, you're establishing roots. You're establishing, the same things that you're used to in every place. You're not relying on a hotel to give you what you need. You're not relying on an Airbnb that doesn't have the stuff you need. You're setting up your homes the way you want. Again, all that's up for discussion, but the bottom line point of the trifecta is it gives you a taste of everything. And depending on how you do it, there may be certain tax benefits. Now, I know that a lot of folks recently have come to us and as we work with more and more successful people and said, hey, can the United States be in my trifecta? It can, but it becomes more difficult depending on whether you are a U.S. citizen or not. The more developed the country, you want to make sure, listen, maybe you're happy to pay the tax there, but if you're expecting that spending 4 months means you'll never pay tax, you do want to do some tax planning around that. But the idea is a lot of countries will welcome you. Some of these countries, you could even go as a tourist for your 3 or 4 months. And so what I'd like to hear in the comments is your questions about the trifecta, how you're living it, what your ideas are. I'd like to hear from you. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know how you are using it. I want to know how you'd like to be using it, or whether you'd rather rent, whether you'd rather buy. Leave a comment, let me know. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.